one sofa.
Ladies and gentlemen! I was going for it again. Sorry, I'm trying a new way every time, and you just look at me in disappointment every time. I'm going to continue with it anyway.
Go on, carry on.
Two guys, one sofa!
You sort of turned into Nelson Mandela halfway through that. Welcome one and all.
Well, so I'm now Nelson Mandela, it appears, in an ironic boxing way. See, that's bad, that my boxing guy, my Let's Get Ready to Rumble voiceover comes out. It's
just racist.
South African president.
So racist.
It's like every time I try and do a Welsh accent, it comes out as a stereotypical Italian Mario. Yeah, don't ask me how.
Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I can't. No, because I'll be really self-conscious of it. But no, I was going to do it then. No, I'm not doing it because Wales will hate me even more than what it already does.
Oh, it's not going to get any worse than it is already.
Yeah, good start again. Every time this gets worse, and I'm not sure how. Like, we think we've hit the bottom with our intros.
Welcome to Two Guys, One Sofa.
Wait, hold that thought. Hold on a second. Hold on.
Two guys, one sofa.
Pete, you're up. Go.
Two Guys, One Sofa. Hi.
Cultured. I like it.
Yeah.
We should lead with that next time. Good call. So, hi. It's been a week, 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Who
since
knows?
The last one. 2
Since
minutes.
the last one. 2 minutes in reality. Hope everyone's still with us. Those viewing figures.
Thank you.
Hey, if the listening ship has gone down to single figures from that last one, this is the last ever Two Guys One Sofa.
Yeah. So thank you.
Thank you for sticking with us. We appreciate it. So yeah, we promised film reviews for this one.
And that's what you're gonna get.
You're gonna get all the films.
Yeah.
Not all of them, just the ones we've seen recently. But there's still films in there.
There's certainly films.
So yeah, we'll do a few brush-overs. We don't want to, warning, there may be spoilers.
Yeah, we'll try and avoid spoilers where possible. It's going to be unavoidable, I think, at certain points.
Yeah, by the time this goes out, I'm kind of hoping most people would have seen the films.
Well, most of the films will have probably be out of the cinemas, hopefully-ish.
Yeah, I'll throw
time.
this up just before I go to America, so then we got a nice 3-week window until possibly the next one, or it just ends.
Yeah.
So our sign-offs on this one has got to be freaking good. Better than our intros, on the basis that it could be the last time. So we've got to go out on a bang.
See.
So yeah, how have you been in the last 5 minutes? Still good?
I'll tell you what I was going to do. I was going to go get a beer and I forgot. So that's not happened.
Shit, I am beerless also.
Yeah.
So the last few minutes we've been sober.
Yeah.
5 minutes, 2 weeks sober at this point. So yeah, Phil, should we just
Let's jump straight in.
Let's go straight
There's
in.
no news.
There is no news. That's the whole point that we did the last one. Well, I think if this keeps on going, it might be a safe bet to do a topical one, like the news-related podcast, and then for a second one,
Something else.
Yes, considering we seem to rant about things, mainly films, it could turn into a
Well, we've got the end of the football season coming up. That'll be a nice, easy topic.
Yes, good call. Yeah, we need to do a football, like a proper solid.
Yeah.
If not 2-part football one. There's a lot of football in our lives that probably needs to get through.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, moving on. Films. We have just come back from the cinema.
2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago. A proper little bro date.
Yeah.
It was Sunday morning. Watching a Disney animated film, Zootropolis.
Yeah. Also known as Zootopia in America, which confused the fuck out of me when it first came out.
Oh, really?
Yeah, different titles for the overseas.
Oh, you just when you said Zootopia then or whatever, I thought I had already got the title wrong to the film I just watched.
It's very, very confusing. But yeah, it was. It's the latest from the. I think it's the Walt Disney Animation Studios. I mean, when people think of these animated Disney movies, they generally think Pixar. They sort of, I think they're the bigger of the two these days.
Oh yeah, Pixar. Well, Pixar just have the credentials behind them.
Well, they do.
Disney is catching up. I think Pixar still have their fingers in the Disney animated pot.
Well, yeah, I mean, obviously they're all part of the same thing, but I think there was a bit of a sort of acceptance that Pixar were in a little bit of a slump, a post-Toy Story slump. They went through Monsters University, which didn't really live up to its predecessor. There was Cars 2.
Oh dear.
There was Brave, which was meant to be the big first, female
Brave, I
lead
enjoyed,
character.
but it wasn't.
It was underwhelming. I
Yeah.
think it should have been a lot better than
It
it
should
was.
have been more. I was
They hit-
expecting more.
They hit gold with Inside Out.
Wonderful film.
Yeah, my favourite film of last year, even more than Star Wars, and that's a big call.
What?
Yeah, I fucking
It's
adored that film.
huge.
I adored that film. And then there was The Good Dinosaur, which you will talk about, which may represent not so much a return to form for Pixar, potentially.
Yeah,
Pixar.
Pixar, the good Pixar.
Not the bad Pixar.
Well, do you want me to go on about the old Good
We'll
Dinosaurs?
brush
since we're
over
there
that
now?
first, actually, yeah.
Yeah.
Get that one out of the way.
First Pixar film I've ever watched, and I've come away thinking, that was shit.
Really? That bad?
Yeah, even Cars, like the first Cars, I came away thinking, well, that wasn't as good as what's come before. But because I have such high expectations now of Pixar,
Mm.
it was shit.
Well, yeah, that's it. I've got the list of Pixar films in front of me, and let's just go through.
Go on.
From Pixar film number 1, Toy Story.
Okay, let's make a little fun exercise. Rate them out of 10. Obviously, 10 being
holy shit.
masterpieces. Just really quickly, what's your first thought? So name them off. What have we got?
My number 1, and I've always said that the greatest trilogy of all time is Toy Story.
Toy Story.
I
yeah.
generally believe that because I think, and it's not a popular view particularly, that they got better
Yep.
film after film after film.
Yep,
I
third
think
one
Toy
was
Story
the best.
3 better than Toy Story 2,
Two.
which in turn better than.
Yep, definitely.
I think my number 1 though would be Inside Out. I generally think
You
that's my
really-
favourite.
If it can
Pixar
beat
film.
Star Wars, then yes,
Yeah.
it's so clever. I mean, I can't argue that.
I would struggle towards them after that. I mean, I adore Up. I know that's. I think that's your favourite Up.
Yeah, I think Up might still just be pipping Inside Out for me at the top spot. But
Monsters Inc. would be.
the first,
I
the
adore
first,
Monsters,
yeah,
Inc., the first
one
one,
was fantastic.
There's Ratatouille. I really liked. Sort of flies under the radar a little bit.
Yeah,
I like
finally,
Ratatouille.
I finally watched that for the first time the other month.
Yeah.
It was enjoyable.
I enjoy that. There's Wall-E, which was something very different, but
I enjoy.
very clever.
I love that. Yeah.
One I did, sort of one of the big popular ones that I saw recently, didn't blow me away. Was Finding Nemo. Didn't quite do it for me.
You didn't like Finding
I
Nemo.
wouldn't say I didn't like it, but I think maybe it took me so long to watch it. I think it'd been built up
Yeah,
too much.
you're expecting it.
It's probably like someone who comes to say A New Hope for the first time. You know what happens. It's that iconic a thing. There's no surprises here.
That's true. That's
I
true.
mean, it was still a good film. Don't get me wrong. It was
Yeah.
still enjoyable, but didn't blow me away in the
Yeah.
same way that the others do. But yeah, I would tend to agree with those that say they were in a bit of a dip until Inside Out. But Good Dinosaur, you say shit.
It beautifully animated,
Mm.
first and foremost. Absolutely glorious to watch. I mean, cinematically, it's probably up there with the best that Pixar have done.
Mm.
Like the detail level and how everything, it was just wonderful.
Yeah,
Beautiful
the
to
trailer
see.
looked fantastic
Yeah.
from a visual standpoint.
Yeah, the visual, 10 out of 10. Everything else, the story was so bland and predictable, even for a kid's film.
I got
mean,
the
it was
impression looking at the trailer, you can see where this is
yeah,
going.
it was, and like you say, just everything kind of followed. I say the voice actors for me just didn't really kind of leap out, and like I can't even remember the characters' names or anything. I mean, the lead character's like Littlefoot from Land Before Time, and that's all I can think of is Littlefoot.
Yeah.
So no, it was just so underwhelming. Like the premise of, the trailers where the asteroid goes
Yeah,
past,
what
and
if
you
it
were just
missed?
and you were just like, okay, I like
yeah,
this.
We'll see how it goes.
But within the first minute, it just there was a certain point. Oh screw it! I don't care. Don't watch The Good Dinosaur.
Yeah, and I think
There's,
I think the fact that me and you and Avril, my wife, we're all big Pixar marks. We're big fans. None of us went to the cinema to see this,
no.
and that probably says it all.
Well, in the first minute, dinosaurs become domesticated. It's not kind of dinosaurs are still around. They've built a hut somehow, and they own a farm, and it just lost me completely. I was just like, no, I didn't invest to it. It fell away straight away from me.
Yeah, and I suppose
Straight away,
just
and it
staying
never
on the
got me back.
subject- Staying on the subject of Pixar, what worries me when I look at their upcoming list: Finding Dory, Cars 3, Toy Story 4, The Incredibles 2. There's a lot of sequels in that list.
The Incredibles needed a sequel.
It
I
did, and don't
love-
get me wrong, I like The Incredibles, but there's 5
They're
upcoming
running-
films,
I say-
4 sequels, and something called Coco.
I say, and that's the shame with The Good Dinosaur, because it was a new
Yeah.
concept. It wasn't another sequel, and it just, I can't. It just.
Have you seen the little follow-up to Inside Out with the Riley's first date?
I've not seen it yet. I got to YouTube.
That is
at
our
some
mission for
point.
afterwards. It's wonderful. Possibly better than the film itself.
I've heard good things.
It's so funny.
But
But anyway,
yeah,
getting back to Zootopia. We've got on to good things.
Zootropolis, Zootopia,
Zootropia, whatever the fuck it's called.
Zootropia. Why
Yeah, because it's from the Walt Disney Animation Studios, and while Pixar have been in a little slump, they've been on a bit of a hot streak.
Well, they gave us Frozen.
Well, the global juggernaut that is Frozen. They gave us
Stand
Tangled.
by it. It's still magical. I love every second of it.
Yeah.
I know all the words to all the songs.
Yeah.
I don't care. I'm not ashamed. And that's how good Frozen is. I'm approaching 30, and I don't give a damn about if I.
Yeah,
like
and I
it or
mean
not.
this is probably the biggest film Disney's had in a long time. We went to
huge.
Disney for our honeymoon, the Florida one, not
Yeah.
long after, and it'd been out a long time. What the thing was with Frozen, it was a bit of a sleeper hit. It wasn't
it just
massive.
kept on going.
Yeah, when it
was-
first came out,
Yeah.
it wasn't close to one of
Word
their
of
top
mouth.
grossing films.
It
Yeah,
was
and then it
word
just
of mouth.
grew and grew and grew. And when we went for that, I think it was just 1 week in the summer. In the summer, for fuck's sake, it was Frozen everywhere. All the parades, Frozen, merchandise, Frozen.
Oh,
You know,
it's
we went in.
incredible.
It was busy. It was Independence Day, that holiday, but it was so they stay open late, and even at 2 o'clock in the morning, you could walk on to any ride you want. 2 o'clock in the morning, there was still a 2-hour queue to meet Anna and Elsa at 2 o'clock in the morning. This was a
Bloody hell.
monolith.
So yeah,
of
they've
a
had
film.
that.
They had Tangled, which it's got a
that was,
classic
I
Disney,
enjoyed
that was
Tangled
fine.
as well.
Wreck-It Ralph, which we both love.
Fantastic. Big Hero 6.
That was all right. Yeah, I like
I've
that.
watched that
I
about
like
4
that.
times now. I absolutely love that film.
Yeah.
Again, it's one of those where the animation, and I think you've said it as well. The thing I love about these animated films now is just the smallest of change in facial expression that
there is
they manage
nothing-
to amplify somehow
Yeah.
because it's cartoon-esque. It just breaks me
Yeah,
every
there is nothing
time.
funnier to me than a good facial expression
Especially-
in a cartoon. The Simpsons is one of just the
the
one
most
few redeeming things about the Simpsons movie.
Yeah.
Just that scene where the wrecking ball is swinging back towards Homer
Yeah.
and his face just
Yeah, it just drops, but it doesn't drop overwhelmingly.
Yeah.
It's just a subtle, just brilliant.
yeah.
Like
And
I
there are
say,
a few moments like this in Zootropolis as well.
Zootropolis. I just got back from it. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I thought this was great.
I loved it. It was one. It's a kids' film that kids will not understand
A lot
half of
it,
what's
yeah.
going on. They'll just see bright colours.
Yeah, there's
Animal
a simple story
characters.
there for kids of goody,
Yeah.
good cop chasing baddies, blah blah blah.
Anyone else watching it, there's deeper meanings.
Oh,
to
this
it.
is
it's
This
layered.
is a brave
to
film.
hell.
This is a brave film by Disney standards, and there's some lines that don't take a great deal of digging below the surface to see the subtext here.
Oh, fantastic! There was, like you say, I don't know if they obviously couldn't have planned it, but then because these things take 2-3 years to animate and make and write, and I said the writing's at the very beginning, but with Trump being about just
Yeah, the culture of fear. and
culture of fear, it ties into the whole thing. Just mic drop on Donald Trump and all his little supporters.
yeah, I mean, some of the lines. I mean, it was not even a line. There was just one bit where we've got to try and avoid spoilers here, but the sort of conflict
Yeah,
in the film
watch.
has happened.
Say watch this film.
And,
I don't give a damn about the good dinosaur. Watch Zootropolis.
Yeah, and like a big animal sits down on the train, and just the small ones just shuffle away.
Yeah.
It's just that sort of thing, like you might see at an airport. If I know we're going to stereotype here, but say a Muslim comes into an airport, it's playing into that culture of fear,
Yeah.
and you do see people visibly sort of moving away from these people,
Yeah.
and it plays into that. There's a scene where Judy, who's the sort of lead character of the film, the rabbit,
Judy
Hopps,
Judy Hopps.
the first ever police officer.
Say first rabbit police officer.
Yeah, I don't think it's a spoiler to say that. It's in the trailer.
Oh, say so.
At the end of the day, and she sort of says, "Oh, it's okay for one rabbit to call another rabbit cute,
Yeah.
but if another rabbit," and it doesn't take a lot of scratching below the surface to see what the
another animal
subtext there
says.
is.
Yeah, I say. It's
And
so.
there's another line later, go back to the jungle, and it's like, I'm from the savannah, and that sort of thing.
It's so clever. It really is so clever. It's fantastic.
Yeah, and it's very funny as well. We talked about it in the last film podcast we did, and sort of said that scene at the DMV that they used
the
for the trailer.
sloths.
Is that going to be the best bit, and is that going to sort of be the highlight of the film, and they've given it away? And we're glad to say it's not just not the highlight of the film. There's lots of other funny moments, but it remains funny.
Yeah, I
In
forgot.
fact, it gets even funnier
Yeah.
in the context of the film.
Yeah. Like I say, the voice cast is, again. This was another thing I was on about the Good Dinosaur. This one has a stellar voice cast.
Yeah.
We have no idea who Judy Hopps is. We came out of it after seeing the credits, and we thought, well, she must be one of these new Glee actresses.
Yeah, I'll look her up
or a
now while we're
complete
talking.
unknown.
Jason
but
Bateman steals the show.
Yeah, Jason Bateman as the sidekick almost character.
Nick Wilde, the fox.
The fox. Honestly, anything with Bateman in, we've discussed it. Even if the film or the TV show he's in is shit, Bateman always makes it good because
Yeah.
Bateman's in it, and he's so good at that. And again, he was fantastic in this, and it was a fantastic film anyway, which just made it better.
Yeah, he was like a fox version of Tony Stark in this.
He is. I mean, it's so. I mean, there's
Idris
loads
Elba
of them.
is brilliant.
Idris
As the sort of
Elba,
police
yeah,
chief.
he
Has a great
police
line,
chief,
which we won't give away, we won't spoil it, but there's a little Frozen joke in there for you to look out for.
Oh, there's a
Which is
Frozen
so funny.
reference, which left me almost in tears. Like
Yeah, that was
nobody
great.
else, not even a titter from
No.
any of the adults that may have got that. But honestly, it's so well written. Kristen Bell, speaking of Frozen,
Yeah,
has
she had a very small cameo.
a cameo in it, which is kind of almost perhaps are they doing that now? Is Kristen Bell going to be like
Yeah.
they're pushing her for the Disney animated things, just as the Ratzenberger is for
Yeah.
Pixar, which I wouldn't be against. I'll be honest.
No, I'd be fine with that.
Who else? There was J.K. Simmons,
Yeah, J.K. Simmons pops up.
fresh off his Oscar win
Yeah,
for Whiplash.
yeah.
He's
This is
in
what
it.
he's doing now.
Fantastic in that. There was the
The
guy
J-
from Firefly that Alan
Yeah, something.
yeah, the pilot from Firefly.
Yeah, he's in it.
He's in it, which we all thought it was Steve Buscemi.
Yeah, but apparently not.
Obviously, you know, it was a bit too on the nose getting Steve Buscemi to play a weasel.
Yeah.
I mean, but so I would say he made us believe it was Steve Buscemi for the most
Yeah,
part. until-
Jennifer Godwin is the name of, or Goodwin is the name of the
Right.
lady that played Judy Hopps. Best known apparently for
what have we got?
being Margene Heffman in the drama series Big Love. Means nothing
Never
to
heard
me.
of it.
She was in Walk the Line apparently. He's just not that into you.
Walk the
She's
Line.
in Once Upon a Time, which is a sort of the fantasy series based
No.
on the Disney and whatnot.
So yeah, it is one of those kind of.
Yeah, but she's
TV
not a
show.
new name. She's 37, so it's not like a
Oh, bloody hell.
coming actress. Yeah,
Fair enough.
so there you go. That's her.
Oh, fair enough. Good old
But yeah, that
Judy.
was a great film, and I would highly recommend that.
Yeah, definitely.
Good Dinosaur, no. Zootopia, definitely yes.
That's a hard yes. What other ones did we say? Oh, you've seen Cloverfield, but you've
Yeah,
got
I've got to be a bit careful with this because Graham hasn't seen it,
And I've wanted to see it,
Yeah,
and I
this is
just
a-
can't afford to go to see it.
this is a film that you really have to approach spoiler free, and I'll try and treat it as such.
Just give it a rating out of 10 and be done with it.
Yeah, I mean, I think what I would say is, I think Abrams described it as a blood relative to Cloverfield, and that's probably accurate. I would say anyone that's going into this hoping for another Cloverfield or something like that is going to be disappointed. It's not really like that. It's very different in tone. I mean, you know from the trailers that obviously it's not this handheld camera like
Yeah.
it is in Cloverfield.
Yeah.
It's a smaller cast and an excellent cast. I mean, John Goodman in this
John
is sort of the
Has he redeemed himself finally for Fred Flintstone?
well, no, but he's brilliant in this. Let's put it that way. But the star of the show is Mary Elizabeth Winstead, who sort of plays the female character you'll have
Good
seen in the
actress,
trailer, who's sort of the captive in this. And I don't
Okay.
think again I'm spoiling anything by
No,
saying
I
that.
kind of do. Something in the trailer where she's chained up, and that kind of gives that away.
But yeah, I mean the opening scene is brilliant. It's sort of before the sort of title sequence. I mean it's
Okay.
no words spoken. It's a really good title sequence to set it up, and then the sort of tone of the film. It's just the three actors really in this bunker.
Yeah.
And it's so atmospheric. It's eerie. It really creates that sort of claustrophobic atmosphere that you wanted from it, which Abrams does so well. I mean, I've sort of mentioned this sort of on social media already, and it falls into the same trap for me as Cloverfield. And I won't explicitly say what that is. I think Graham knows what I'm talking about. Having ranted about this in the past, it falls into a similar trap. Not as bad, I don't think. It didn't irritate me in the same way that Cloverfield did, and I enjoyed it more. I enjoyed 10 Cloverfield Lane more than I enjoyed Cloverfield. I would go back and watch it again, which I haven't done with Cloverfield. It's left itself open again for a sequel if they want to, whether they will or not, or whether this will just be a series of sort of unrelated
But linked.
sequels.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's a really good film, and I'd certainly recommend it. It's coming to the end of its cinema run now. I think it's down to one viewing a day at
Shit.
our cinema. Yeah, so it might be a case of waiting for this on DVD now.
Damn it.
But I would recommend doing so. The reviews have been good. I was worried about what a critical response would be. It's been generally positive response.
That's good.
But yeah, really good film. Very atmospheric. The actors are brilliant, and yeah, not a blowaway film. I can't see it being a film of the year candidate or anything
No.
like that. But a solid 7-8 out of 10.
Nice.
Yeah.
No, I'm looking forward to that if I can avoid spoilers. God, I hope I can avoid spoilers.
Yeah.
Because honestly, if somebody gives that away, I'm going to be distraught. I'll be too depressed even to lash out in anger at them. Oh, never mind. Anything else? No, I was right. I finally watched The Hunger Games all the way through.
Okay.
I mean, these movie reviews aren't exactly, again, the most recent. They're not all. I say Good
Yeah,
Dinosaurs, isn't it? The cinema.
I think that was out in
anymore.
December or something.
Yeah.
Wasn't it?
But Hunger Games all the way. I enjoyed The Hunger Games.
Yeah, I've not seen any of these, so you'll have to fill me in.
Good story, good solid story. You know, it's a fantasy film. It's set in a.
I mean, what's the premise of this? Like the overall thing?
Well, basically, dystopian future after a
Right.
nuclear war or something, and
One of
there's a
those.
new system around the world, and basically 12 districts are run by the capital.
Yeah.
Which is all obviously the rich snobs and all the arty farty and the weirdos and stuff. And each of these districts kind of has a special meaning. Like one's coal related and one's agricultural related, and obviously they all feed the capital for this thing. And since there was, I guess there was some sort of rebellion or something in the past, and since that was put down as a reminder to all the 12 districts that this happened, and don't be dicks again.
Yeah.
Every year, 2 children are sent to the Hunger Games, which is basically, it's what's that Japanese film, Battle Royale?
Oh yeah, which I have
Pretty
seen.
much the premise of it's similar to that. Like 2 kids from every district are sent into this kind of open world arena.
Okay.
Where there's all kind of pitfalls and traps, and then they're given weapons, and they all basically the last one surviving wins the Hunger Games.
I could get on board with that.
Yeah, and that's the premise of the first one, and then the second one from there it kind of spirals and gets a bit more, and then this last one it's full blown open warfare for a lot of it.
Nice.
Spoilers. I don't care. You've seen the Hunger Games by now.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's another one of these book series, a successful book series that came out about this. I think the first one came out not long after Twilight was a big thing. Which obviously put me off because all these teen fantasy books being made into films, Twilight, as previously stated, can go fuck itself. Remaining, for the rest of time, can fuck itself. So I went into this with a bit of apprehension because it was the same thing. It was a teenage, fantasy novel that was kind of brought to a film,
Adapted
but
to the big screen.
fantastic. I say Jennifer Lawrence. I don't care what anyone says. Jennifer Lawrence is a fantastic actress. She plays crazy so well. Like in other films, like she is literally unhinged by all accounts anyway, which probably helps.
Yeah.
But during this, fantastic all the way through. There's some massive. I mean, Woody Harrelson's in it.
Really?
Throughout, yeah.
He does crazy.
Yeah, he. Again, I think he's another one that is generally batshit
I
crazy.
remember 2012.
Yeah.
Sadly.
Yes. There's loads of. I say Julianne Moore comes into it towards the end. Who's the guy that died, the actor that died, he was the bad guy in Mission Impossible 3. It was last year.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, he's in it. Somehow they've got around that. The lesser of the Hemsworth brothers is in it.
Liam,
yeah, that's
Hemsworth?
it, Liam Hemsworth.
We'll be getting on to Chris in a second, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, it's a stellar cast, and some of them have. I guess some of them have actually excelled because of it, because it's been that long now.
Yeah, it's been a
about
career
4
launch
or
for some of
5,
these
I think,
people,
of them. And each one's like 2 years apart, so a lot of these were breakthrough. I guess Liam Hemsworth. I can't remember Liam Hemsworth being.
I'm not
a thing
sure what
until
else
I've
he's
seen
done,
them.
but he's coming up in Independence Day now.
He is. Oh, I can't wait for that. But no, Hunger Games, solid. It's a one and done for me, but I enjoyed it all the way through.
Yeah, and speaking of one and dones and the Hemsworth brothers, yesterday we went. Well, 2 weeks ago. Jesus Christ! In this little universe we live in. Yeah, we saw the Huntsman, Winter Watchman, or Winter War, or some bullshit like that. I don't really know what this thing was called. And you know what? I didn't hate it. I think it was. I don't know if it's a sequel or some sort of follow-on from a previous Huntsman, sort of Snow White adaptation type thing. These sort of like Maleficent, which are the producers of this film, this sort of dark adaptation of the Disney thing, blah blah blah. And Chris Hemsworth, I mean, he's okay. Just as for he is okay. He's tolerable but not good by any stretch of the imagination. He puts on a Scottish accent for fuck's sake.
Oh really?
Yeah, that's not good.
Oh no.
I mean, there's moments of comic relief, and I laughed a couple of times. Genuine laughs. They've got some good sort of British actors providing the comic relief as playing sort of goblin type characters. There's Nick Frost is in there.
Oh, Nick Frost.
Rob Brydon's in there. Sheridan Smith. So there's a good little pool of talent in there to sort of back up the more action based Hemsworth stuff. And it's very sort of generic by the number stuff, and it's kind of dark. The opening is particularly dark. But yeah, I mean, like, it's one and done. It didn't offend me in the same way that something like a Pan did, or something like that, or any of that shit. But not a film to watch again, but for the sake of Odeon cheap cinema prices, it was worth a go.
No, I say the old saying, "Happy wife, happy life," and that was a massive Avril calling the shots going to watch the Huntsman one, right?
Well, at some point I'm going to drag her to see fucking Independence Day or something. Or...
Yeah, good call.
Yeah.
Good call. Speaking of people that don't see a lot of films, Amy from Ipswich.
Oh,
I
okay.
finally
Notorious Amy.
Notorious Amy.
The Goonie.
The Goonie. I finally watched The Goonies.
Okay.
I brought it for her birthday, took it round, we watched
Did
it.
you ask her for a review for our podcast?
I did not, but she enjoyed it.
She enjoyed it.
She really enjoyed it, which is obviously a fantastic thing to have. It's a massive deal breaker. If you don't like The Goonies, that's it.
Well, then, what's the point?
Severed ties kind of thing. But it was the 30th anniversary DVD. I had so many things, because the amount of times I've watched this now on Channel 5 on like a Sunday evening, post Watershed, I forgot how much like language there is in this and how many so much is cut out in the TV. And I'd watched that many versions, I'd forgot what the actual original was.
Yeah.
It's bordering on not a kids film. I've got to be honest.
Well, yeah, it's quite a risque kids film.
Yeah.
It's,
Chunk swears a lot in the film.
yeah, it's a sort of crossover film from that sort of, like almost like a more risque Home Alone, sort of that step up from the proper kids film to the more sort of 12A.
I'll say I still enjoyed it though. But,
Yeah, still brilliant.
Still a brilliant
Will always
film.
be brilliant.
Amy also watched The Blues Brothers.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, they were the two so far.
So she's making progress.
She is making
Not quite
progress.
such a
Next up,
ridiculous human
Ghostbusters. I say, and then we'll go from there. But I say both like Blues Brothers, like the Goonies. So 2 for 2, luckily.
being. Slowly redeeming yourself, Amy. Good for you.
Well done, Amy. Have we seen anything else?
Not that I can think of. We're going to see The Jungle Book on Friday. That's coming up. That's the next big one.
Is it
Yeah,
out
that's
Friday?
this coming weekend. I'm looking forward to that. I think they can be hit and miss, these sort of real life animated crossovers, but this feels like a hard one to fuck up.
Favreau or whatever
Yeah, I mean, I think as long as they
do
stick to the Jungle Book story, there's not a great deal that can go wrong. Really.
Exactly.
So high hopes for that, and then we're into the sort of the summer and your Independence Days and your Ghostbusters.
No, we don't talk about that. Right, let's do it then. Let's get to the crux of the podcast. The reason why, and it's even going to have its own news intro fanfare because it's fanfare-y and it's important and it needs to be built up the way it was. So here we go. Night versus day. What was the other thing that they said? I was looking at you for that quote then, and you let me down.
I can't remember what it was.
Damn it! Night versus day. Good versus...
Good versus evil?
No, that was... No, fuck it. Batman versus Superman. Fuck it.
I don't know what you were going for.
It was the quote from the film. It was like Lex Luthor. He was doing
Son of
all...
Krypton
That's
versus
it. Bat of Gotham. That's it. The greatest gladiator match in history. And I was going for that, and I missed.
You turned and pointed at me, and I wasn't paying attention.
And I thought you would know what it was. The Q. It's like the click finger Q in.
Anyway, that
Batman Superman.
Right. We were both looking forward to this. Let's start. Let's start at the beginning. We talked about it on the last podcast. We were both looking forward to it. We had high hopes.
We're both DC fans as well, like comics. We
particularly the Batman world, not so much Superman, but the sort of the Batman universe.
It's one of those where we're not casual comic book readers, but we're not kind of at the level of grand nerds.
Yeah, I think you're probably more of a hardcore comic guy than I am. I think you've sort of grown into it. Yeah, whereas I'm probably more casual. I know enough to get by.
Exactly. You've read like the essentials.
I've read the big ones, the Killing Joke and the Death of the Family, that sort of thing, the Year One kind of stuff.
Yeah. So I mean, so we both know the universe and
the fundamentals of a good and bad Batman story.
Yeah. As we've mentioned many a time on our hated movies podcast that we did. One of mine was the 1989 Batman, which a lot of people hold up on a pedestal, and I hate that for certain reasons, which we'll get into in a minute because it.
Well, yeah, funny enough, on the subject of that, we gave Batman Returns a bit of a free pass on that podcast.
Have you watched Batman Returns since?
Recently, yeah, and I thought, why did we let that off the hook? I mean, that was every bit as bad as the first Batman.
Oh, they're
for
all
some
terrible.
of the same reasons.
They're all terrible.
Yeah, and
they're all terrible.
Yeah, I'd wiped it from my mind, but we gave it a free pass, so this is a bit of a belated fuck you, Batman Returns. You haven't got away with it.
Batman Forever as well. Let's not.
Well,
let's
yeah, we talked about that a bit,
Yeah,
not
did
quite
we?
so much, and then Batman and Robin.
Yeah.
But that's still the worst.
But anyway, so you go into this, and you know DC. I mean, the thing with DC Comics is important to realize that obviously they have something called the multiverse, which means they can do X amount of whatever spin-offs, anything like that. They don't worry about the main continuity and all of these things. So even their TV shows, they're all I think the Flash and Arrow are part of the same universe. That they're tied in together, so there's a lot of crossovers between the two, and they're building something there, which is great. They bring a new Supergirl TV show into it, which by the way is fantastic. I really, really, really like it. It's kind of campy, but it's the good campy kind of. It needs it. A lot of it's all dark and serious with DC. This is the closest to Marvel DC has ever got in this kind of cinematic or TV world. And that's a different universe again, completely. Like, they can't even tie their TV things together because of where they just... It's like Marvel with Spider-Man.
Yeah.
For so long, they couldn't bring Spider-Man or Fantastic Four into the main Marvel universe. And DC's kind of the same, but they have this multiverse excuse. They can always say, well, no, it's a different universe, it's a different whatever, things have gone differently.
Yeah, they've got their excuses.
Which is how you need to go into any film, in my opinion. It's not going to be pages from the comic. It's not going to be same characters from the comic. They're not going to have gone through the same things. You've always got to remember that this is a different universe. Different things change. Fundamentals change to a degree.
Yeah.
But one fundamental, and I'll get straight into it because it's the thing that I mentioned. Yeah, I mentioned it on the last one. Is why all these Batman films fall down. The one fundamental of any Batman-related film is Mr. Bruce Wayne, Mr. Batman. He doesn't fucking kill. That is the fundamental, regardless of whatever he's been through, he doesn't kill. That is that. There is one instance where it's still debated if he kills or not, is the Killing Joke at the end.
Yes.
Which is a famous comic. They're making that into an animated film as well,
right.
and the backstory, we'll come into that in a bit, because that's fun. And that, he may or may not kill the Joke. Now, I think he does, because it was meant to be one of these multiverse Elseworld tales.
Yeah.
And they made it main continuity for whatever reason, because the sales were good, so they thought, oh, we'll incorporate it. But Batman doesn't fucking kill unless it's the climax, like this Killing Joke. It builds up to it.
Yeah.
He doesn't
not as a throwaway.
fucking kill. Throughout this film, it's not just like even one kill that you just think, oh, they've let that slip. Or, or they've let 2 or 3 on. No, he literally goes through the film blowing people up in cars. Like, he kills outright. Like, he must be in double figures in this film. It's...
Yeah, he's bordering into Indiana Jones territory.
Yeah, it's shocking. It honestly... And I just went... That was the moment I was just like, fuck this. Fuck this hard. And then the rest of it happens. And it's just... I don't like Zack Snyder. I think...
There's a lot to say about him.
I mean, everyone lauded him for Watchmen. I thought Watchmen was a mess.
I didn't enjoy that at all.
No, it was too long and it was just all over the shop. I mean,
I wasn't familiar with the subject material, which probably didn't help, but...
It still seemed a bit messy, like you say. And he's not good at characters, really. He's really...
Well, yeah, if you're going to do like a comic book adaptation like that, and you're going to have a widespread audience that aren't familiar with it, your job is to...
incorporate
them.
Yeah, but still keep it loyal to a certain...
Yeah, and he failed completely on that point. I didn't have a clue what was going
Sucker
on.
Punch was another one that he did.
Oh,
just
God,
a mess. An absolute
dreadful.
fucking
Not
mess.
a clue. Not a clue what was going on in that film.
300. I've never... Just, again,
Didn't do
it was...
it for me.
No, didn't do it for me. So I've never liked him. I thought he was massively overrated. And when he's not only been given this film, but he's been given, like, the head of expanding this DC universe. So he's going to have his fingers in all the pies. The Wonder Woman film, he's probably going to have some say in. Hopefully not.
Justice League.
The Justice League films, he's probably directing again. And
I dread to think.
yeah, and the thing is, this film is a fucking mess. It's just... It's so bad, I don't know where to begin. Honestly, I really hated it. And I know you were kind of almost in a positive light. I don't know if you've had time to sit on it.
I wouldn't say a positive light, but probably not quite as negative as you were, because you sort of came out and cause you saw it the day before me.
Yeah.
And I think you sort of said when you first came out, not completely terrible, but certainly not nearly as good as it should be, and then that turned over the sort of course of the day to full-on hate.
Yeah.
Whereas with me, I came out probably in the same state as your first attitude, and that sort of...
there.
Yeah, and it sort of stayed that way. I mean, for me, like we talked about Batman and Robin on the last one, and it's not at that level because on that I couldn't find any redeeming features at all. The acting was terrible, the story was terrible, visuals terrible, everything terrible. This, at least I think there was some redeeming features in terms of the acting. I think
there were redeeming features,
and I think there were even certain scenes, but not whole bits of the film, but certain elements that I thought that was cool. I like that. But yeah, I certainly don't disagree that overall the film felt a mess, and it was so relentlessly bleak and dreary. There was no change in the tone.
And that's the thing with Superman versus Batman. Again, we're not well versed enough in this, but we know enough that Superman, like you say, he's the optimist.
Yeah.
Of the whole thing, he is the Boy Scout. He is so he should have been bringing that, and that would have been a good conflict to have. You look at the new Captain America trailer, where it's a similar demographic. Iron Man is the cynical one, and Captain America's the goody-goody soldier.
We'll come back to
that. In that trailer, they have that.
Yeah.
Straight away, it's like, I want to punch you in your perfect teeth sometime. Conflict, but done in the right way because of the characters. This is just, Superman's a fucking emo now.
Well, yeah, it was very Spider-Man free.
Yeah.
It was just, he's sort of conflicted, dark, miserable, and Batman is dark, conflicted, miserable. We had another Bruce Wayne Batman origin story at the start, the death of the parents. I know spoiler alert,
how many times?
It's not even a spoiler anymore.
It would be brilliant if they actually if they just died in a fucking car crash, just for once. Just throw that fucker out there, and then he goes against the automobile industry rather than
it was
criminals.
quite nicely shot. I like the black and white shooting of it, but then there was a weird scene where, like, in this adaptation, Bruce Wayne's dad sort of takes a swing at the Joe Freeze as he's doing this.
Well,
Joe
good
Chill,
point,
Joe Chill, sorry. And like, no, with his son there, with his wife there, a gun to him, he takes a swing and aggravates the situation, gets shot.
His fault.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
He was made to look like a fucking idiot.
Yeah, you put your fucking hands up, mate.
Yeah. In every other adaptation I've seen, no matter how good or bad, at least he
just
begged for his life.
Yeah, he gets
tried to negotiate and offer him money.
And he just
doesn't happen here.
Yeah. No. So there's fundamentals already. Yeah, like you say,
that's straight from the off, and that sets the tone. And it's so dark and relentlessly dreary throughout.
Yeah.
There's no sort of lift in the atmosphere. There's no.
There is
laughs.
I mean, there was no laughs. I'll give you that. There was literally no laughs.
Yeah.
There was not even like comic relief. There wasn't even like. I think they were trying to do it at times, but again, it's so poorly written.
I think Lawrence Fishburne's character was the closest they had.
That and Alfred.
Yeah,
Jeremy Irons
credit. He was great and underused.
Yeah, and that's the problem.
Underused.
Anything that was kind of character driven was between Ben Affleck's Batman and Jeremy Irons as Alfred, and the sarcastic back and forth that they always had. That was the most humanizing moment. I mean, they tried to make fucking Clark Kent see human by just shafting fucking Amy Adams in the bathtub. Yeah. There was no point in that. No point. They could have had that conversation anywhere else.
Yeah.
In the room, but no, it's a case of, well, I'm Zack Snyder, I have to have women half naked at some point.
I felt really sorry for Amy Adams and Henry Cavill in this film, because I think they're both good actors, I think they're both good in their roles, and what they were given to work with here, Amy Adams was just constantly the damsel in distress, being moved around the world into different female in peril situations.
And that's I mean, it's a bit of a trope, and again, Lois Lane as a character, she is a damsel in distress in the most part, but she's kind of outgrown that, at least when she got into these things, there was a reason for her getting it, not just being kidnapped because her boyfriend was, and that's how it turned into. The first half, it was a case of, I think she was going after a story.
Yeah.
That's what you want.
Yeah, and it sort of fitted in.
But it turned out that was whole bollocks to it. Spoilers, and again, I don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
The whole thing was orchestrated to get her to see if Superman would come save her.
Yeah.
The whole thing turned out to be that.
She went from being the end of sort of independent source seeking story, like you say, to being just a pawn in the game.
Yeah, which is where it falls down.
Yeah, we mentioned it in our Star Wars review, in the last one, that they've been back to the well too many times on the blowing up the big spaceship.
Yeah.
4 times in this film they went back to the well with Lois Lane being in a situation of peril, being rescued by Superman. What did you think of Affleck, by the way, as Batman? Because I really liked him.
Yeah, I thought I wasn't a big fan of Christian Bale. I'll be honest. Bale was an all right Batman, but he was just a piss poor.
Yeah, we
Bruce
mentioned
Wayne.
this in the last one. I liked him as Batman. Didn't like him didn't sell me as Bruce Wayne.
Affleck is
a brilliant Bruce Wayne
and a brilliant Batman.
Yeah.
He buffed the fuck up for this role. Like, he beefcaked. Even I went, holy shit, because Affleck is always kind of, I don't know if I like this in person, but he's always had that kind of suave arrogance about him, which is what Bruce Wayne needs, and he brought that. So Affleck was fantastic. I thought Jeremy Irons as Alfred was fantastic. Lauren Fishburne, for the most part, was good in the role that he was in,
for
but
what
again, he
has
was
to
a
do.
bit part kind of thing. Like I say, Amy Adams needed to be
More-
given so much
yeah,
more because
more
she
to
is
do.
again another fantastic
And
actress.
I'd say the same about Henry Cavill. Although
Yeah.
one thing I'd say with Henry Cavill, I think he's a great Superman, but because he's such a good-looking guy, he's a very built-up, buff guy.
Gay.
It's to the point where, yeah, gay. This is my gay moment. This is my man crush moment.
Go on.
It
Henry
becomes,
Cavill, really?
it becomes implausible when you see him as Clark Kent.
Kent.
You
Yeah.
know, it's just more than any other any other character that's played the role. He is just Superman in glasses.
At least give him like a geeky comb over.
Yeah, there's nothing. It's just
It's just a
Superman
pair
in
of
glasses,
glasses.
and it's just it becomes a little bit too jarring
Yeah.
and implausible. And the big one
positive.
that people were talking about, Jesse Eisenberg.
Yeah.
We said we were looking forward to him. You know, from the trailers.
Again, with it being like you say, the Elseworlds, the multiverse kind of thing, you can have different versions of Lex Luthor. I didn't mind that. I actually,
I really liked him.
yeah.
Again,
It was so many
'Cause
people have
yeah,
hated
he is
it,
getting panned for his performance.
but I thought it was refreshing. The last thing I wanted, just to go along with fucking emo Superman and just all this dark
Yeah, it
depressing,
was another
was just
monotone
another
character.
monotone businessman who's bald that obviously hates Superman. The one problem was he was given no backstory for why he hated Superman.
Well, yeah, I think there was one sort of throwaway line about being
Yeah.
abused as a child or something
and
like
that's
that.
it. And you're just like,
And
oh,
that was his motivation.
okay, yeah, that's not enough,
And
really.
yeah, and I think he was let down like so much in the film by
By the
Zack
script.
Snyder with the lines he was given. There was
Yeah.
so many things where he was just talking in quotes, and it was basically just Zack Snyder saying, "Yeah, I can be cultured. I've read some fucking Nietzsche in
Yeah.
my time. Here's someone to deliver that for me."
Definitely.
So he was let down, but I thought his
Yeah,
performance. was
I
great.
did. I like the whole take on he's now basically Mark Zuckerberg
Yeah.
on steroids, kind of thing. Like he's zany. I can live with that.
I
I
was
thought that was a
absolutely fine with that.
great new way of looking at it. I honestly, people have slated it, but again, you've got to remember the lines that he was given.
Yeah.
But no, brilliant. I couldn't fault him. I got to be. I thought he gave something that, if that, like you say, if that was just another Lex Luthor, say if that, even if it was the guy from Breaking Bad, Hal.
Oh, Bryan Cranston.
Bryan Cranston, who
Yeah.
was everybody's pick for Lex
Yeah.
Luthor. Let's be honest about it. In that film, if you had just had another Walter White, a depressive, dark
Yeah,
character,
I didn't want to see another
even
character like that.
even Bryan Cranston would have kind of, I would have gone. He just bled into the the background a bit. At least this way there was something that made you
stood out.
take pay attention.
Stood out.
The one redeeming feature that everyone seems to be universally on, which is the positive,
Yeah.
the introduction of Wonder Woman.
Yeah, Gal Gadot.
Fucking nailed it.
Mm.
Like again, only a bit part role. She appears sporadically throughout the film,
Yeah.
and again, she is Wonder Woman.
Yeah, they've given
No.
away the reveal already in
Yeah,
the trailer,
in
as
the
we
trailer.
discussed last time.
She's there, so you know who it is. You know what's going on, and it's nice to see. It gives her a little bit of a backstory to a degree that leads into what's going to come.
and it
There's a few
introduces her as
throwaway
a big
lines.
character as well. For those who
Yeah.
aren't familiar, she was made to feel like a big deal.
Yeah, and
in this
that was
film.
the only thing. Like I say, this film should have been a big deal. Batman and Superman coming together the first time. It should have been holy
Yeah.
fuck. But no, the only holy fuck moment I got from the entire thing, and the only smile I ever got on my face, was whenever she was in, because she had the best lines.
Yeah.
That suited the character. I thought she did it well. And just when she appeared as Wonder Woman at the very end, like the music.
Yeah, the music
Hans
was cool.
Zimmer in that moment just absolutely nailed it. It's like this rocky kind of, almost Arabic kind
Yeah.
of, really, really badass.
Amazonian is it?
Yeah, I'm gonna say really riff, but
Yeah.
it's like the soundtrack to I guess 300, but with an electric
Yeah.
guitar and a really kind of piercing electric guitar. Brilliant, and it just
Yeah,
opened
that
it
was
all
great.
up, and she got the little things right with one. Like I think she gets battered away
Yeah,
at
and
one
then
point.
just that smile.
Yeah, she just like a smile, like finally an opponent that's got like,
Yeah,
and that's
I'm
the
used to
Wonder Woman
fighting
character.
things
Yeah,
from another world. And
yeah,
stuff
so
like that.
just these throwaway lines. It's just she nailed it. She absolutely nailed it. She salvaged what. If it wasn't for that, I would never watch this film ever again. But I'd watch it again just to see that moment. I'd make skip it till that
Yeah,
moment.
I think that's what I would say. I mean, we had our worst films podcast, and I
Yeah.
wouldn't put it in that category, but we did say it was worst films and biggest disappointments,
And this is a massive disappointment.
And this should have been, because we said superhero films are riding this crest of a wave at the moment.
Yeah.
They're the in thing,
All of a sudden,
and this should have been the crowning glory
Oh, yeah.
of all of that, and it wasn't. And it's, to be honest, it's actually made me more excited to see fucking Captain America.
America. Yeah,
versus Iron Man.
I was. I say this is the thing. I wasn't going in
Yeah.
to
we
Civil
both
War.
talked about this.
Yeah, I thought I was burnt out on Marvel.
Yeah.
But DC, thankfully, because of the ineptitude of the writing team and Zack Snyder and
Yeah.
all of the all those that combinated in a terrible Batman versus Superman film, all of a sudden I'm thinking, holy fuck, you know what? I really do like Marvel films, don't I? I was like, they do it right.
And what do you think of the ordering of this sort of this DC universe? Because they've gone sort of now straight in with Man of Steel, and now they've done the big one, second film in.
Yeah, Man of
Whereas-
Steel was meant to be a standalone. They
Yeah.
didn't have any plans
Yeah.
to expand it, and all of a sudden they did this, and then they kind of turned around afterwards and thought, well, hold on a minute.
This is our chance.
Yeah, look at what Marvel's doing. Look at the Avengers. Look how they're branching out and all these things. They got like 3 phases or whatever of
Yeah.
movies to plan. We need to get in on this.
Yeah, but what
yeah.
Marvel did was
Built it over time.
built it. Yeah, they introduced their characters first, and
Yeah.
then it culminated in Avengers Assemble.
Yeah.
What has happened here is we've had the big film, we've
Yeah.
had the one that everyone wanted, and now you've got to go back and reintroduce Wonder Woman and
Yeah.
fucking Aquaman.
Yeah.
And that's going to be a hard sell from
Yeah.
here, I think.
Yeah, I say the Wonder Woman film, like I said, they had a few
That will do
throwaway
fine.
lines that made you think, okay, why did she kind of, where has she been? I think
Yeah.
that was one of the things, like, there was a picture of her in World War One with the cast, like they had Chris Pine there.
Yeah, that was the one bit I didn't
Yeah.
like, where he was sort of sending her that email
Yeah.
saying, "It is you," and all that.
Yeah,
sort
I
of
say
shit. That
it
was
seemed a bit
cheesy.
too on the nose, but at the same
Yeah.
time, it's like, where have you been? Like, your question,
Oh,
where
yeah,
have
the
you been? And then
overall
you just
thing.
think, yeah, where
have
has
you
she
been?
been? And obviously, this Wonder Woman film will probably fill in that gap.
Yeah.
You know, it will be the event that makes her give it up, which doesn't bode well for poor old Chris Pine, I'm afraid to say.
Yeah.
But
Probably not.
poor old Steve Trevor, I feel he's going to
Oh,
get
dear.
the damsel in distress
Oh,
treatment
dear.
in this one. But you know, it sets it up, and like you say, and just how she portrayed it, and in those brief moments where it came about, it gave me hope for it. It really has. I'm like thinking, if they get the right writing team
Well, I
in,
think are they doing
yeah.
Wonder Woman, then the first Justice League, and
Yeah.
then I think we're getting into your Aquamans
Aquaman's
and your
and
Flash.
then a second Justice League.
Yeah.
And I would say, and that's the other thing. I mean, the rest of the characters that they've pulled together now, which it's like the original Justice League, which I can understand why they picked those original. I think this was now Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, Aquaman, Flash,
Arrow.
Green Lantern.
Green Lantern, is it?
Yeah,
that's
so
it,
there's 6. So there's still 1 or 2 more to come, because there was original. I think Martian Manhunter was
Yeah.
7th originally, but there are other ones that you could throw in there. And like you say, if they really wanted they need to throw another lady in there. Let's be
Oh
honest
yeah,
about
there needs to
it.
be more of a balance.
You're looking at your Black Canary characters.
I love that.
B-list characters, but someone that really could do with a push.
Yeah,
Um,
introduce a new star. Why
yeah.
not?
And again, they've got a pool of characters they can do this with. Not just female, but like you say, if they wanted to
All sorts of
add
people.
another dick to the mix, then they can do. I mean, there's that many around. I was saying, then I just like I say, if this was filled, like I say, and that's the big worry now. If Batman, Superman felt rushed and muddled and all over the place, they haven't got. Like I say, Wonder Woman isn't going to continue this story and build it
No.
up. This is a prequel now to
Yeah.
all that's gone before, let alone
Well, that's it.
you know
You've
this
got
Batman
to go
Superman
back
film.
and reintroduce a character that you've just sort of given away.
Introduced, yeah. But there's no way that film is going to tie in well enough. They may try and tie it in, but
Yeah.
it's not going to tie in well enough to open up all of a sudden. Oh shit! Now there's 7 of us. You know, all
Exactly.
coming together. It just doesn't do it, and you know, it's I don't know. Yeah, honestly, I felt so pissed off about
Yeah,
it.
just
I wasn't-
disappointed. You know, I should have come away loving this. And for context, we saw it in Jersey. This was when we saw it
Yeah.
over there. And that's where Henry Cavill's from. So he
Yeah.
is the big deal over there.
Yeah.
They're so proud of the fact that Superman comes from there.
From Jersey. That's a kind of
But-
that's a good kind
Yeah,
of
I mean,
thing
as
to
you'd expect.
brag.
I mean, for
isn't
Man
it?
of Steel, he bought, Russell Crowe and Fishburne over, and they had their own premiere over there. So he is
Badass.
a god over there.
He is a god.
He is quite
He
literally,
is- he is a
Krypton
Superman.
god. And there was an audible gasp when he came on the screen, like, "Holy shit, this is our guy!" And
Yeah.
I just faded away
Oh really?
throughout the film and not because of him, because again, I think he was fine for
Yeah.
what he was given,
Yeah.
but I think that summed it up.
Yeah. Positive note to end on. Then we mentioned it again. Killing Joke animated film. I forgot.
Yeah, I wasn't aware of this.
Because it's a
look
very
it up.
diversive comic.
I love it.
Yeah, there are those in the bracket of it's a fantastic story, and then there are those in the it's misogynistic and shite and many holes. And I'm kind of in between the two because it's a strong story, but at the same time, I don't. It's an origin story for the Joker in
Yeah.
flashbacks, and I like my Joker not being. I love him being a mystery. I love it.
Yeah.
He's the one thing that Batman can't figure out, or the reader can't figure out, or anything like that. So there's that, but there's also a few bits, obviously, that the shooting Barbara Gordon,
Yeah.
just as a plot device, kind of a throwaway kind of thing. But originally, like I say, this was intended to be one of these alternate universe kind of stories, but they brought it into main continuity, and it's kind of tarnished it from that. I think if it was kept as an Elseworlds tale,
Yeah.
it would have been. Yeah, I don't think anybody could have. It wouldn't have had that kind of diverseness about it. But what they're doing is this time, to be fair, it's who's the main guy that did all the animated series? He did the whole animated universe that
What,
DC.
the director or the
just the guy that Bruce Timm.
Bruce Timm? Yeah,
Bruce Timm. Track record, especially in this field, unparalleled.
Yeah.
I would rather have Bruce Timm right in the next friggin'
Yeah.
Justice League film than Zack Snyder, even though he's got nothing
I'd
in.
fucking bring back Joel Schumacher before.
Yeah, good call. But so it's a case of, they brought him in, and what they've done is they've got the old voice from the animated series
Mark
back,
Hamill.
even though it's not tied into the old animated series. It's its own standalone film. But what they're doing is that they're addressing some of the facts, and let's say the big problem is a lot of people have is the shooting of Barbara Gordon, who is, as we've discussed, my favourite character ever in comics, and just another massively underused character.
Yeah, she is.
It's one of those that you think, well, she's bigger than what they always give her kind of credit, and that's what I like about it.
Yeah, you mentioned she was meant to be in this film, wasn't she?
Yeah,
Everything
and
was
they've
sort
cut
of
it,
edited
so
out,
they've got to fit her in on a DVD extra somewhere, in some way.
I'll be interested to see that.
But because of this storyline where she gets shot, she then becomes like an information broker called Oracle, and she then basically is the head of the unofficial head of all the heroes in the world, because they always come to her to organise and whatnot, which is a brilliant kind of how they salvage that. Originally she was Batgirl kind of thing, and again should have always been more, but in this one I'll say the big qualms a lot of people have, and including myself in it, she's just thrown away character. Again, she's a damsel in distress, but not even a decent damsel in distress.
Well, that's been one of the
her
biggest
dad is the damsel in distress, and she's used to make him a damsel in distress.
That's been the big criticism of comic books for a long time, is the lack of strong female
the women
characters.
in refrigerators, the thing that's mentioned. But in this one, what they're saying is, yes, we're going to keep, obviously, all the nasty stuff that's in it. We're still going to, she's still going to be shot. But what we're going to do is, we're going to do a prequel, a 20-minute prequel, that sets up the story where, she's the main character.
Yeah.
So they're going to, show her as Batgirl, show her as someone that,
that sounds great.
That now, you've humanised her. You've not just had a shot for shits and gigs.
Yeah, for effect.
This is a case of, no, we built this character up because she means a lot to people, and she should mean a lot to anyone that hasn't seen it. To what happens is more kind of impactful, which I think is brilliant. I mean, I wouldn't want to change the story, like you say, but that's the best way they could have gone about it. So I'm looking forward to that. Like I say, Mark Hamill's back in here, and
I was looking now. Kevin Conroy, Tara Strong.
Tara Strong, yeah. Like I say,
Nice.
all the animated cast, and Bruce Timm's at the helm, the overriding helm. So I'm, I have high hopes of that.
July
like
2016 it says here as well, so not long.
It's not long.
Yeah.
They've tried, like I say, what they've done is they've taken what people really were against it of and said, listen, we're not going to alter it because of censorship or because you're pissed off with it and other people like it. We're going to try and make it what you wanted it.
Yeah,
if you were going to do this is the only way that's probably respectful to all the characters involved, kind of thing. So I'm really interested in looking forward to how that comes out. But that, I'd say that's it for me.
Yeah,
I've had my grievances
Batman
now.
rant.
Yeah,
So yeah, overall, we'd say Batman and Superman. Thumbs down.
give it a 3 out of 10.
I'd go 5. I think it was enough to give it a 5. But what I would say, even we sort of mentioned we didn't like Christian Bale. I came out of those films happy to go back and see them again at the cinema.
Yeah.
I can't comprehend sitting through that film
No.
again because it felt long.
And it is long, but it felt long.
Yeah, I mean, it should have culminated with that final battle scene with them, and then it goes on for another half hour.
Oh, at least 45 probably.
Probably more than that.
My leg went dead in the cinema.
Yeah.
Watching it, I sat in the same position. Don't ask me why. I didn't even fidget during
Yeah,
there. I got up and I almost fell face first because my left leg had gone dead. That's how long this film is.
Well, yeah, I mean, the amount of people that sort of had to go out and go to the toilet, like in our showing, near the end, and that doesn't normally happen near the end of a film, but people just gave up at that point.
I say there was nothing invested into. If it was a good film, they wouldn't have been walking out. They would have been there crossing their legs and hoping to God that they didn't embarrass
themselves. It was just an exodus, and it just wasn't interesting. It didn't grip you. It was too bleak, too dreary. So that's overall a thumbs down, a disappointment. Wouldn't recommend.
Yeah.
Zootopia, definite recommend.
Thumbs up.
Yeah, you know, it's
Hunger
the early
Games.
contender for film of the year for me. Zootopia. That's the one to beat.
Ooh,
I
benchmarks
think.
there.
Yeah,
No, I say there hasn't been a lot out so far. I mean, the Civil War's coming out next,
yeah,
and then, like you say, you go into your summer blockbusters.
yeah. You've got your Independence Day. You've got Suicide Squad, Rogue One.
Rogue One. No, I'm really looking forward to that.
So
But,
there's contenders, but I really enjoyed Zootopia.
yeah,
So-
that's what you can take away from this one. Go watch Zootopia. Don't bother with Batman, Superman, people.
Save yourself the time.
Yeah, wait till one of your comic book friends that obviously doesn't know film very well and says it's fantastic and buys it on the DVD.
Yeah.
Go watch it around their house for free.
Yeah.
Eat it with a pizza. Get some food in you halfway. Have a break, and then watch it that way.
Well, I'd be interested to see. I mean, how did it do commercially, Batman and Superman?
It had the biggest fall off, I think, in film history.
Yeah, I can very
Like
well
it was,
believe that.
it set a box office record of some type because it opened on a.
Like the most
bank
pre-ordered
holiday,
and all
yeah.
that sort of thing.
But it had also the record fall off.
Yeah.
Like first weekend to second weekend fall off, as word of mouth spread about how
Oh, here
awful
we,
it was.
so here we go.
Panned by critics.
In its second week, Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice experienced a historic box office
There
drop
you go.
with an 81.2% decline on Friday. That was one of the biggest Friday to Friday drops any blockbuster has ever seen, and a 68.4% drop overall for the weekend, despite not facing any big competition at the box office.
I'll say that's the other thing as well. It's on its own and it's failing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
The second largest decline for a marquee superhero title since Hulk. And that's not a surprise to anybody.
No, but yet they'll still give Zack Snyder a fucking another pass at this, despite
Yeah.
it being shit. No, you've been panned, but you've managed to get away with it because you've established some sort of universe now,
Yeah.
setting up the Justice League. Give someone else it, for fuck's sake, to try. I mean, it's just common sense, isn't it? I mean, okay, people didn't like what Zack Snyder did. We're heavily invested in this next one. It has to be a success.
Yeah. They've got too
Let's
much
not
to
give
lose
it
now.
back to the guy with the track record of absolute fucking failure.
Yeah, they can't ignore this because this has been, this isn't just a subtle critical panning. This has been massive.
Universal.
Yeah.
I say, I know a few people that have come out as outright comic book fans, and I have to question, what comic books have they been reading? Like, there's a lot, like you say, there's like, oh no, it's for the comic book fans. Only comic book fans will understand it. I'm a comic book fan. What the fuck have you been watching? It goes against everything that's in the comic books. I mean, there's a few nods to different stories, but that's just like a visual thing. There's not even like
there's references without,
Yeah.
without anything more than
Yeah.
that.
So no, bollocks to it. Massive bollocks to it. Big dangly fucking hairy bollocks to it.
Yeah.
Bollocks. That's it.
Well, yeah, we'll be
That's
back
it.
probably in a few weeks, so coming up to the hour mark
May.
now. So
I want to say May.
probably May time, probably end of the football season.
Yeah, well,
That's
the
the
next
plan.
one will probably be a football one because I say I've got to turn 30 in America, and that's going to take up 3 weeks.
Yeah, so if you don't like football, you can skip the next one. Look at you.
Hooray! So yeah, we've been Graeme and Pete.
Until next time,
Yeah, well, we need a sign-off line. We said we were going to really.
wish us a happy birthday, everybody.
Good call.
Yeah.
Have them pander to us. Yeah, leave us a comment below wishing us happy birthday. Just show us how much you love us.
To see if you got to the end of this fucking podcast.
Yeah, good call. We'll see how that goes. Until May, people, have fun and stuff, and bye.
Two guys, one sofa.